First things first is that going through a breakup sucks. And every single man out here, no matter what they say, understands how bad it is to go through a breakup and understands what heartbreak's like. It's difficult. It's not easy. I'd actually like to argue that men feel more heartbroken than women. I think that's
facts.
I think it's true. And I think it's because one of the possessive element that we have, the idea of her being with someone else hurts more than the idea of you being with someone else to her. And secondly, because you have a lot less options than she has instantly. So I think that breakups are worse for men than they are for women. And I understand how difficult and hard they can be. However, unfortunately, the unfortunate reality is that chasing her and being dedicated to her and saying you're going to do whatever she wants, etc., is very unlikely to work. It's very unlikely to work. And you have to look at the scenario you're in, look at the chessboard and make the best possible move. When you're heartbroken, when you're truly heartbroken, you can't even sleep. And your mind is constantly preoccupied. And instead of seeing that as a negative, what you need to do is use that as a source of unlimited power. If I was truly heartbroken today, let's imagine, and I could barely sleep, I'd be in better shape than I've ever been. I'd train like an animal. You have to just take the energy inside of you. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted, whether it's heat into light or momentum into friction or however you want to put it, right? Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another. And you have to look at that and understand that the sadness inside of you is energy. You can't destroy it, but you can convert it into something else which is constructive. And you just have to stick it up, buttercup, and get over it.
Damn.
And there's no other way to do it. And obviously having an abundance of women makes that easier. But I wouldn't even put it that way. I'd say if you were with a woman and you lost her and you're now lonely and she's going to be moving on and you're absolutely utterly heartbroken and you're destroyed inside, I understand how difficult that is. But now you have genuine sadness inside of you, which is unlimited motivation for you to become a beast, become an animal. And by the time you're finished becoming an animal, you won't care anymore. So if you really want to cure yourself, you can just say, I'm going to get a six pack and I'm going to get bigger arms. And by the time my arms are this size and I have a six pack, then I'm going to think about that. And you'll realize you don't give a shit about her anymore. That's just the way the world works.
You are failing yourself and God. That's why she left you, Aiden. That's why she left you.
That's why. Because I failed God. I'm
correct.
God.
You're failing God. If you were the best version of yourself and you were waking up every day trying your absolute best to be a unique and special individual, then you would not be failing God any longer and he would not plague you with this bad luck. Now you're sitting here upset over someone who has replaced you and you deserve it.
So what do I do, Andrew?
I've told you what to do. I've told you what to do since we've ever started talking. I told you to become a man of substance. It's actually very interesting, the masculine experience, because I like to believe that most men on the planet have lived a semi-similar timeline. All of us as men experience a very similar human paradigm, and that is that most men are born and you're not important, and then you go to school and you fall in love with some girl in school and she f***s someone else, and then you realize that all the 19-year-olds you want when you're 19 are with older dudes because they have cars or whatever, and you go through this experience of getting your heart broken and losing your girlfriend, etc., and many men latch on to some average or accept they're gonna have their heart broken forever. But some men decide to become so big and important and strong and irreplaceable that they never have to suffer heartbreak again. Because every man deals with heartbreak and deals with sadness, but how you use that energy is the differentiator between humans, right? You are feeling the same pain that many men have felt. Every man out there has had his heart broken and understands how difficult it is as a man. The difference between me and you, and perhaps some of the other men out there, is that certain men take that anguish and take that sadness and understand that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted and use it to build themselves into a man of absolute standing and power, as opposed to sitting around jerking off like you just told me you do. You are a waste. You are wasting your energy. Heartbreak is unlimited motivation. If I was heartbroken, it's been a very long time, but if I was heartbroken, I'd be in the gym every morning. I'd be a beast. I'd be running. I'd be working. I couldn't sleep. I'd be an absolute animal, and you're heartbroken, and what are you doing? Jerking off like a dumbass. The difference is, as a man, you must build yourself into a man of credibility, which means to build yourself into a man of standing, we all start in a fairly similar position. I became me through tedious, arduous, difficult, never-ending work. You are wasting your time. You know why God made your girl leave you? Because he wanted to show you that you ain't shit. He wanted to show you that you are human and you're fallible and that you're very replaceable. So he decided to make you fall in love with a girl, and he decided to make her leave you to show you that you are a dickhead. Now it is your job to look at the board, understand what's happened, say, I understand, God, I deserve that. I'm glad she left me and I'm sad because I am a dickhead, and do something about it. Because if you refuse, if you ignore God's message, next time you fall in love with a guess what he's going to do? He's going to make her leave you to remind you once again that you are a dickhead. Every single man out here, if you're upset that your girl's leaving you, God is reminding you that you aren't worth shit. You need to get up and work so hard that even in the eyes of God, he is proud of you. God loves his creations which show him their true potential and beauty. By getting up and trying your absolute best and becoming a man of moral standing, he will reward you and bless you. If you continue to be a dickhead, God will remind you you're a dickhead. So God just broke your heart on purpose to show you that the way you're living your life and the man you are simply are not good enough. What have you changed since? Nothing. Nothing. You think God's going to forgive you for no reason? You think God's going to go, it's fine. He hasn't learned his lesson. He hasn't changed. He isn't even trying very hard. He's not up early in the gym. He ain't doing nothing. It's fine. Let's just let him fall in love and let's make sure the girl doesn't someone else on OnlyFans this time. No, sir. This is going to repeat endlessly. It's a cycle that will not change until you take the message from God and become the man you're supposed to be. You must stop being a dickhead. You deserve what's happened to you. You deserve how you feel. All of it.
I think heartbreak is designed to teach you lessons. I think everything bad that happens to you as a man is designed to teach you lessons. I think that's why God gives them to you. You're never going to be a good man unless you've suffered. Good men have been through a lot of bad things, and you have to realize why she left or why your heart is broken so that you can change certain things and grow. I think that the worst men on earth are the ones who haven't had enough pain. You're supposed to suffer as a man. You're born to suffer. The whole reason God put men on this planet is to suffer. And the best men are the ones who suffered the most. I wouldn't be top G if I didn't suffer more than anyone else. You're a better man than everyone else if your life was a mess and it was a hardship, because you're not what happens to you. You are how you react to it. And the best men on earth are men who have had their parents die, their best friends betray them, their girl betray them, thrown in jail, their money stolen, stabbed, robbed. And every time something happened to them, they sat there and they looked in the mirror and said, what can I learn from this? How can I stop this happening? Those are the best men. Those are the men respect. Those are the men women want. Why do women love scars? Look, they tried to kill him and they can't. That's why I want him. The best men suffered. You find a man who's never been through suffering and nobody gives a shit about him. Men don't like him and women don't like him. Men are no good without it. If you're an intelligent person and you crash your car, you sit and say, how did this happen? Was I driving too fast? No. Whose fault was it? Well, an amateur will say, it's their fault. They came speeding out at me. But a professional will say, no, they came speeding out at me. Why couldn't I avoid them? Why couldn't I move? Why didn't I see it? Why am I on this road in the first place? Like, a professional analyzes everything from a position of what they could do about it, having control over all things. And it's the same with heartbreak. If you ask an amateur why his heart's broken, well, she left me because of blah, blah, and he'll just blame her like a dumbass. She's arrogant. She doesn't listen to me. Her friends convinced her to cheat. She wants this, that, instead of saying, I don't have what it takes to keep her. I don't have what it takes to talk in a way that makes her not want to listen to her friends. I'm not important. So if you self-analyze everything, then everything happens for the same reason. Whether, no matter what bad thing happens to you, including heartbreak, it all happens for the same reason, for you to analyze and get feedback. If you were more important and more successful, she was less likely to leave you. That's the truth. The thing about life is you become a better person via feedback. You don't ever become a better person via anything else, especially not practice. People say practice makes perfect. And that's the biggest mistake, because it's not true. Because I often get asked, Andrew, how do you speak the way you speak? And I say, well, feedback. And they say, well, you've practiced, right? Well, everyone practices how to talk. There's people who've been alive 30 years longer than me, who've been practicing to speak longer than I have. Don't speak the way I speak, for example. It's just an example. You have to feedback. You have to watch yourself talk. You have to see where you've made mistakes. You have to see where you say, like. You have to remove it consciously. You need feedback to improve. So if a woman left you, that's feedback. Learn the lessons and make sure it doesn't happen again. Or sit and blame her and pretend it's nothing to do with you, and then wait for it to happen to you again, because it will. That's how life works. Like, feedback I got from jail, or my father dying, or heartbreak, or being stabbed, or whatever it is, all of these things happen for you to learn from them. And everybody in life has these events, and everybody in life has these traumas they can learn from, but most people are too stupid or too arrogant or too cowardly to sit down, blame themselves, look in the mirror, analyze the entire situation as if it was their fault, and see what they can do to prevent it from happening again. If I get wet in the rain, I blame myself. Why didn't I bring an umbrella? Why was I outside? Why was the car not nearer? Why didn't I check the weather? It's all me. Whereas the average person goes, why are you wet? It rained. And it's not their fault, because the sky rains. It's not my fault. I can't stop the sky raining. Whereas I believe I could have stopped myself getting wet, even if I can't stop the rain. It's a mentality.
Heartbreak teaches you the power of understanding that in life, things will always get better if you try to make them better. There were girls who I dated when you were still a baby. So let's say I was 20 years old. And she was 19 years old. I was 20 years old, and we broke up for whatever reasons. This particular girl got some job where she had to move to London. And I was upset about it. If the heartbreak had never happened, well, I'd be that guy. I'd be with her now. I wouldn't have done all the great things that I've done. Heartbreak sucks. And you do have to deal with it. And again, know when to walk away without begging or humiliating yourself, especially in this day and age of DMs and messages being recorded and stuff. And each heartbreak, like with every bad event that happens in life, sets an important marker that you eventually look back on a longer timeline, and you see the growth and the self-improvement and maybe the hypothetical scenarios that would have happened had you stayed with that person or had you not been betrayed by that person. And yeah, it serves as very important markers on a timeline. But it's only once you progress a couple years past that timeline that you can see the knowledge in it, unless you do it the wrong way and let it spiral you into down the toilet of self-destruction, in which case then you're like, oh, well, that's when my life went completely wrong. So no, that's when you chose to give up. They're two very different things. The heartbreak's fantastic. I wish my heart could still be broken. That'd be nice. Well, men live for women. This is the point. Men live for women in every single way. If women didn't exist on this planet, everything about my life would be different. I'd have fast cars because I like driving. But a lot of the things that men do, a lot of the things we say, the way you dress, lots of it is about trying to attract women, trying to impress women, and trying to have women hold you in a high regard. Because if women in general hold you in a high regard, then you as a high value man have your pick of the best women on the planet. And there isn't a single red-blooded male out there in the world who doesn't like the idea of lots of different women being attracted to him. Even if he's got his wife and he's in love and it's the first girl he's ever been with and he's, I don't know, a Mormon or a Muslim or a Christian who's super involved. If you were to ask him, would you like to be unattractive to women or attractive to women just in general? He'd say attractive because it raises the impression people have of his wife, for example. So there's not a single man in the world who doesn't live for women in one way or another.
Women teach you a lot about how to get women, which is actually quite interesting. Like, they do. Women teach you a lot about how to get women themselves. If you want to piss a woman off, ignore her. Don't insult her. Just don't reply. And you should know that, because when did a woman annoy you most? She ignored you. That's right. So like, you can learn so much from them. But women are the prize, effectively. Sexual access or access to sexuality has always been a prize for men that effectively had to be earned. You had to go to war and come back with a Valor Star, or you had to be a king or something to get access to sexuality. So women were the prize up until a certain point, and then if you're a high value enough man, you can say you become the prize, blah, blah. But effectively, women are a fantastic mirror, and how women treat you tell you a lot about yourself, because women are ruthless. And if they don't see value in you, or if they don't see value they can extract from you, you're invisible to them. You know, you can go to a nice restaurant with a girl and you can say, how many men are in here? She'll say, 3 or 4, and she'll ignore every waiter. If they can't get something from you, you're invisible. So how women treat you in general is a good mark for how much value you openly exude. If they can instantly see value on you, they'll talk to you and treat you a certain way. People think that beautiful women are really bitchy and rude. No, they're not. They're actually very nice and soft and sweet. They're actually quite shy and insecure if you're that guy. But if you're not that guy, they're like, get away from me. Because they don't even want to bother having a conversation on any level because you don't exude enough value. So women are a mirror. They'll tell you everything you need to know about yourself. And you should pay attention to it and you should change it.
No one is ever going to give a shit about you, even 1% as much as you have to give a shit about yourself. No one cares. No one cares about you if you're a man, ever. Everything is conditional. You don't get loved unconditionally. And that's a beautiful thing, because that makes you strive to create your own value as a man. And the problem that men have is we all go from a time when everyone cares about us to a time no one does. Women don't lose it until they're maybe 45 and childless. Then they'll be like, oh, what the f is going on? Now she understands what it's like to become a 15, 16, 17-year-old man. Because we've gone through the stage. I remember my aunts and uncles, hey, little Tristan, I remember, they all cared about me back then. Then you get to 16, 17, 18, you're out in the cold world and you're like, no one gives a do they? I can't pay my bills. I have no food. Nobody cares. Yeah, your mother and your father will care a little bit, but you have to care about them So I'd say the duty of protection is the other way around once you become an adult, and you have to care about yourself. So the best advice I can give to anyone, especially the young men who are 13, 14, 15, who, you know, are sitting in their room playing video games and their mother's still bringing them sandwiches, you know, if she continues to care about you that much and you lean on it, you're going to be a nobody. And if she says, okay, you're 18 now, get the fuck out my house, you're going to be a nobody until you make something of yourself. So the best advice every young man needs to hear is nobody gives a shit about you at all until you make them give a shit. People give a shit about me and Andrew now. Why? Would you have given a shit about me if I just stayed in my room playing video games from age 18 till now? No, you wouldn't know who the fuck I was.
As a man, if you truly care about the world, you need to improve yourself first, because as a man, if you're not capable, your love means nothing anyway, right? You can say I'm a man and I love my dog, but if you can't feed that dog and you can't home that dog and you can't afford to take that dog to the vet and you can't protect that dog, then your love means nothing. Your love as a man is directly correlated to your competence and your capabilities. So when a man who is capable loves you, it means something. A man who's incapable loves you, it means nothing at all. So if you're incapable, not necessarily important, not necessarily financially successful person, it doesn't matter what you feel about anything, because you could be replaced and nobody gives a shit. So if you truly care about that, I guess the lesson is, if you truly care about an issue as a man, the first thing you should do is you should improve yourself. If you have a woman who you truly love, instead of buying her flowers every day, you should improve yourself. If you have a town that you truly love, instead of, I don't know what you would do, instead of telling everyone how great it is, you should improve yourself and you should start a business in that town so that there's more jobs in that town. It doesn't matter what it is. Self-improvement is the answer to showing your love for anything as a man. So when I see people say, oh yeah, I really love my girlfriend or whatever, and then I look at the guy, I say, no, you don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't be sleeping so long. You wouldn't be so insignificant. You'd be trying harder in some way. You'd be doing something. You're not doing anything. If you're not doing anything, you don't love anybody.
I would say to all the young men out there who see me as a source of inspiration, motivation, knowledge, I'd again say something similar than I said to my brother. I'd say if I exist or not, if I speak or not, if I do podcasts, if you hear my voice, it doesn't matter. You can do all of this without me as a source of motivation. Everything I've tried to say to you and everything I've tried to tell you, I've meant it because I care about not you personally, but the way that men are perceived in this world and the way men carry themselves in this world. And if you are a true fan of mine, don't get angry, don't go nuts, don't burn anything down. Don't let this become a moment in your life that spirals you down that toilet of self-destruction. You don't need me, and you can do this anyway. Best of luck.
When I was 20, me and my girlfriend broke up. I was with her for 4 years. I couldn't sleep. And this is before social media. You couldn't just chase a bitch. That was it. She's gone now. She moved. I didn't know where she lived. That was it. And I couldn't sleep. Now, it wasn't like I was crying my eyes out, but I was just, where's my hoe at? I couldn't sleep.
Need something else to do.
So I thought, I'll hit the gym at 6 a.m., hit the gym at 3 p.m., the gym at 8 p.m. I had nothing else to do but fight. So I took all that trauma, all that heartbreak, and I molded it into becoming a world level combatant, right? What did we talk earlier about how trauma can mold you? How trauma can be a fantastic thing. Heartbreak, depression, sadness, these are all fantastic motivators. I'm telling you why they're a fantastic motivator. You go to a guy who's heartbroken, he has all the motivation in the world to send 300 text messages. He has the motivation, he's putting it in the wrong place.
That's 300 cold emails you could be sending to someone.
That's a lot of money you could have made.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, some of the greatest accomplishments in my life have come after a heartbreak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that, I call it you energy. Take that and you're like, because some guys will get butthurt about that and they'll sit there and they'll wallow in self-pity. I've always thought the correct application of that energy is, okay, prove that she made a shitty mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Go out and become millionaire. Go out and become a kickboxer. Go out and become a porn star, whatever. And then she's going to look around when she's 50 pounds heavier in a year's time. Be like, mother, I left him. I let him go.
Yeah.
You can, and internally,
be happy.
My ego could be like,
yeah,
I got you.
Life's going to hurt you, and how you use that pain is completely and utterly up to you. You can use that pain to galvanize yourself as a man and become a better man you've ever been. I'm not saying that I'm only successful because of some chick. I'm saying that every single time that I was heartbroken, I never wasted a second. I was never wallowing.
Especially as a young man. We talked about this on the show. You're going to get your heart broken as a young man. I've had it happen to me.
Yeah.
We've all had it happen to us. And it's not even about anger towards the girl. Me and Tristan talked about this on the podcast that we did together, Gentleman Game. It's 7 years later, because as a man, you're going to get your value later.
Yes.
Right. So if you use that energy to put all that work in, these girls, they come back around, and I love to see them come back. Not because I'm in love again, just because it's like, I told you so.
Yeah. No, I said this, like anybody who tries to get revenge on a woman,
way.
That's incel energy. That's a wrong way of looking at it. The only revenge you can get on a woman who breaks your heart is success. Success is the best revenge. Just level up slowly. And when she messages you, you got two choices. You can either say, sorry, baby, you're not my type anymore. Boom, you win.
So that's the answer to the question. Put a plan together for the heartbreak if it comes, and make sure that plan is constructive. Everything we've been saying on this podcast is true. Trauma's going to come, pain's going to come. We have to use it in a constructive way. Still to this day, that's all I would ever do. If something bad happened to me and I got really upset, I would find the most constructive possible outlet. And that's a conscious decision. You have to have the emotional control to make a conscious decision in that direction.
Women, men they respect. That's it. They don't men they like. They don't men they love. They men they respect. If she loves you and likes you and doesn't respect you, she will not have sex with you. I have women who respect me and hate, but they're here every time I call. So if they respect you, they're going to sleep with you. And this is something that's biological and evolutionary. Men they respect. So how do you make women respect you? Well, first you have to be worthy of respect as an individual. There's no hack. If you're worthy of respect, you're worthy of respect. But secondly, you cannot allow blatant disrespect. So if you allow her to blatantly disrespect you and you tolerate that, then you're setting a precedent, which means, well, why would I respect this guy in the first place? Yep. I say this to guys all the time. I've had loads of guys who come to me like coaching and stuff and say, my woman doesn't respect me, da-da-da-da-da. And I say, look, it's much harder to fix something that's broken than just never let it go wrong in the first place. So from the second you got together, you should have been a man. You haven't got to be an asshole. You haven't got to be aggressive. I'll sit with a girl and very politely say, look, if we're going to be in a relationship, if I'm going to take you serious, you're not going to have male friends. If you want to hang around with a whole bunch of men, then I'm not going to take you seriously. What do you mean you won't take me seriously? I mean, I'm never going to look at you as serious material. So the idea, the decision is on you. If you want to be serious, you're not going to talk to those guys. You want to talk to those guys, you decide. And I lay out on them. Now, if they choose to keep all their male friends, then that means she's chosen these friendships over me, which means sooner or later she was going to cheat anyway. Like, how long until she jumps on a new dick anyway? So why would I even be upset about it? But most men are too scared to just put the ultimatum down. And you haven't got to put the ultimatum down in some scary, big, brash way. Just be clear. Look, any woman I'm with who I take seriously doesn't hang around with them. So it's your choice. And this is the point. But most men don't say anything. They let it slide and they let it get completely broken. And they come to me and say, well, how do I fix it? It's like, well, you have to make it not let it get broken in the first place. You need to understand your boundaries and expectations as a man. And you have to set them. And you have to make sure she complies and sticks to them. And if she doesn't, you're going to have to find somebody else. If you're stuck with one option, the one chick you met, then she might be a dickhead. Some women are just dickheads. The key is this as a man. This is the bottom line. Most men are not prepared to walk away. And if you're not prepared to walk away, you don't have any weapons. Exactly. If she knows no matter what, you won't leave, then what weapons do you have? Anything you say, shouting, screaming, yelling, going out away for a few days, whatever. She knows you're going to come back. You have no weapons. The second, imagine a girl came to you and she said, no matter what you do, no matter how many times you cheat, no matter what, I will never leave. Right. Think of all the shit you do. I know I do. Yeah. So this is the point. So as a man, if you're never prepared to walk away, you're never going to be respect. And the woman thinking, you know what, we might just leave, are linked. They have to be there. So you have to mean what you say. You have to let her know, look, there's some things I won't tolerate. And if you fuck with me, I'm going to walk away. And if you walk away and she doesn't chase you, then she's gone. At least you saved yourself a nasty divorce and getting cheated on and all that shit. Just end it then and there and save yourself a bunch of time. But men are too afraid to pull the plug on it because they get addicted to the and they don't believe they can get any more and they get all messed up. You have to be prepared to walk away as a man. So you have to look at any relationship you're in and say, okay, I'm a nice guy. I love her. She loves me, but I have boundaries. And if she pulls them, I'm going to have to walk away. And that's the truth. Otherwise, you're never going to be respected. I've been head over heels in love with women and left them and never got them back. And they never knew. Yep. That's life. That's how it goes. I've been head over heels in love with women. I didn't want to lose them and they weren't listening. So I walked away and they didn't chase me. I lost them, but that's it. My honor's intact. My pride's intact. And now I don't give a fuck. It's time to heal. That's life. So it's better than staying in a relationship, which I'm not happy in because she starts acting like a fool. And it's kind of like, I use chess analogies a lot, but it's kind of like chess. If you're playing a game of chess and you're in a losing position, and the only hope you have of winning is a big sacrifice, you give up your queen. And and you don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's the only hope. You're better off making the sacrifice, even if you lose, because if you don't, you're just going to slowly get ground down and definitely lose in the end.
Right.
Like, do you love that so much you'd rather delay the breakup by 7 months and lose without any pride or honor?
Yeah.
And leave without any pride or honor while she cheats on you? Isn't it better just to say right hand in the air, you're not talking to that guy anymore? The end is coming. If she chooses to talk to that dude over you, the end is certain. So can you have enough balls to just say bye and at least leave with your head held high? But
Right.
this is another thing, man. It's crazy. These men have never been through any kind of emotional trauma. So the idea of breaking up with a woman is big to them. I've been through, when you've been through real shit, a breakup just doesn't become that real anymore. You know, I've had people try to kill me. I have stab wounds. Tell me again about this girl who doesn't text you back. Like, who gives a shit? There's people in Syria getting bombed.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to get some perspective and just realize you're being like, there's real trauma out here in the world. Terrible things happen day after day. And here you are, alive and breathing and perfectly healthy. And you're going to cry over some bitch? Just man up.